So if you're starting a brand new business, one of the things you're going to need to do is find a voice. Find what your business needs to look and feel like. So today we're going to be talking about the importance of being super genuine in absolutely everything that you do in your business. Let's get into it. Hey guys, welcome back to Montreal's Elite Unleashed, the podcast for hustlers looking to level up their lives. I'm your host, Logan Boyce, alongside, as per usual, Jonathan Ehrlich. How's it going, buddy?
What's up? What's up?
So today we're talking about being genuine and the importance of that. And I'm so glad to be talking to you about it because you are far and away one of the most genuine human beings, especially with all of your marketing that I've ever met in my entire life. And I think it's something that's really important to talk about because when you're building a business, I think it's important what that feel is, also known as brand, what the feel is of when people work with you and how important that can be.
Yeah, it's totally a fluke that we're here talking about this. It wasn't my idea at all. But yeah, I think the easiest person to be is yourself. But it's the hardest person to be when you're not confident in that. So hopefully what people can get out of, today's podcast episode is really the license to be yourself and to move forward inside of your business with the idea of who you are in all of the processes in your business and everything that you're doing step by step.
I've noticed in my career, and I say this with pride, is I'm very polarizing. People either meet me and they love me and they're very happy to follow my lead and do all the things that I coach them and teach them to do and whatever. Or they meet me and the first thing they're like, that guy's an ass. That guy's no good. And so what was interesting was a former mentor of mine, Rock Thomas, used to tell me, man, you can't be all things to all people. If you're all things to all people, you're nothing.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to take you seriously. And I think that's one of the interesting things is when you are yourself, when you're completely genuine in who you are and what you want your business to look and feel like, it actually makes people take you more seriously. You don't need to do that whole fake it till you make it thing.
Yep. Well, I think that's so important because no one is going to like everything that you do, right?
No, for sure not.
You're not going to be able to please everybody. So I learned that pretty early on, especially in real estate, and kind of just decided, hey, you know what? I'm going to focus on the people who do like me, and I'm going to just make them like me more. Like I'm going to do the things that I am, and those people are going to love it. And so far, it's been working out really well, thankfully.
Yeah, absolutely.
But there are some people who hate it, and they hate me for it. And I hear about the hate. And like
you love it.
That's it. When you're confident and you're excited about it, you just love to hear about the hate because you're like, man, I'm just myself and I live in your head. Dude, rent free in your freaking head. I love it. Sweet. So I'm just going to keep being me. And that's awesome. The people who love me for it are going to love me for it. I'm going to love them for it. But I think that gives you the license and the confidence. But man, is it hard.
Yeah.
The first couple of times, like a hater says something about you, and you're like, "Shit, yeah, he's right."
Take it too seriously,
right?
Yeah,
that's heavy.
Yeah,
that shit hurts.
It's hard to not let that kind of weigh on your mind. I think a lot of people just need to learn the lesson that it doesn't matter where you're at in your career. You have to believe that you're enough. You have to believe that you're enough to go out and get that business. You got to believe that you're enough to get that client, that signature, that deal, whatever it is that you're working on. You have to believe that you're enough because if you don't, man, it's going to be a rough road for you.
Well, you were actually talking about the seminar that you just did.
Yeah, so I spoke recently at a seminar put on by Marc Dumaine, and awesome guy, great story. Can't wait to have him on the podcast.
Yeah.
And before I went and spoke, I had a coaching call with Jeff Cohn, one of my mentors, and he was like, "Dude, don't try and be somebody that you're not. You are enough," is what he told me on the phone. He said, "You are enough. You've done $500 million of sales since your team's inception. Like you don't need to pretend that you've got $100 million of investment properties. You don't need to pretend to be that guy. You don't need to pretend that you've got a 50 agent team. You're enough. You are up there speaking at that conference for a reason. Believe it and execute. You are enough." And that was great. It was like super motivational. It got me all riled up. It was an awesome conference.
Well, I think it's the genuineness, because I was there for that conference too, and I listened to you and I listened to the other speakers, and it was a great overall conference. But I think the thing that came across in your your segment was just the genuine part of it. It's like, it's raw, and that's scary.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you can't refute somebody who's telling you the truth. Like, it's just, you can't, you don't have to remember any other story. You don't have to pretend.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
just,
Yeah, you don't have to memorize anything.
That's
Just
it.
Telling stuff that's happening.
You just genuinely were like, yeah, this is our team. This is where we're at. This is what we do.
Yeah.
And this is where we believe things are going. So this is why we're doing X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
And it's,
Wasn't it funny when there was like dead silence in the room after I said commissions are going away?
dude.
I was like, who remembers 7%? A bunch of the old guys raised their hand, which is great. Like, I remember 7% too. I'm one of the old guys too. At least I like to think that I am. I was, who remembers 7? Who remembers 6? Who remembers 5? Right? And some people were putting up their hand. I'm like, I don't like you. But it was so funny. As soon as I was like, well, the commission squeeze is happening. And man, everything that's happened in the States too, with the big settlement lawsuits and everything that's happened, it's wild. But all that to say, it was an interesting point when you're really talking from what you believe in, what you truly believe in, when you talk about that, either from a conference perspective or maybe it's a team meeting perspective or whatever business you might be in. Man, you get a lot of attention when you're saying stuff that you truly believe.
Yep.
If it's regurgitated information, it's going to get passed over. I think, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong.
But it's also in the way that you say it too. And like, one of the stories that I love to tell new agents whenever they come on our team, because we have the real estate team as one of the businesses. One of the things that I love to tell new agents is a story about when I first started in real estate. I was calling these expired listings, and we ended up getting this developer just a backlog of old listings that they had. And then we went to go meet with them, and I was like, brand new.
Yeah.
I knew nothing.
Yeah.
But I had you there, so thank God, because you know stuff. And we just like, I was faking it until we made it. You knew what you were doing. And I was like, man, this is so surreal. Like, we're in this thing. And then it was like, it was something like 20 listings that were just 20 listings right away. I was like, oh my God, what am I doing?
Yeah.
And then I had to communicate with the head of sales at their marketing section for the developer.
Right.
And I remember, and this is what I tell the new agents, I wrote out 2 separate emails. One email that I wrote was the first email that I wrote was like super, like, crossed all the T's, dotted all the I's. I was like, oh, this is that, and this, and it's, you're a realtor, trust me. And I looked at it and I was like, man, this is not fun. Like, this is not me.
That doesn't sound like John.
Right.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm not going to do this for like a year, 2 years, however long I'm going to be working with these guys.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want my relationship to be with them like that. So I wrote out another email, and like, it was super fun. It had smiley faces. It was like jokes and stuff.
Nice.
But it was still like, it had all the information in it, still professional. But it was much more me.
Yep.
And I looked at both emails and I said, you know what? If they don't want to work with me because I am who I am, then we're not supposed to work together. So I sent them that email. I took the professional, like super, like too much, and took the one that was more fun and more me. And I sent them that one. And the response that I got back, it was amazing. They were so like friendly. They were laughing and joking back.
I love it.
It made the working experience so good,
Yeah.
and it made them trust me more.
Right.
Because all of a sudden they were like, whoa, this guy is so confident that he could send us an email like this and like we can have fun. Now I'm confident in him.
It also, it's the continuity of the message as well. Like, if you had sent that super, super professional email and follow up with them or in an update with them or whatever, and then they got on the phone with you and you're John, they'd be like, wait a second, who actually wrote that email?
Yeah.
So like, we interviewed somebody a few weeks back, and it was a gal. And when she wrote her cover letter to come work with us, it was eloquent beyond eloquent, like the opposite of how I normally write. So when I write as if I'm talking. And this person wrote it out like this person went to Harvard or Oxford or something like that. It was crazy well written. And I enjoy that. I was like, wow, okay, I'm going to meet with like a freaking intellectual.
Yeah.
And the person comes and they were just like, you know, average Joe, kind of, what's up? How are you doing? The whole thing. And I'm like, well, that's weird. And I didn't like the lack of continuity. So I actually brought it up. I was like, hey, how come your email and your cover letter was like so, you know, dry and by the book, you know, why didn't you know, I'm really enjoying hanging out with you. Like, why wouldn't you have written it a little bit more like that? They're like, well, I think people want to see, you know, a more professional side. I'm like, no, dude, people want to see who you are and what you're about.
Yeah.
That's what people want to see. Like, if I'm going to work with somebody, I want to know that I can hang out with them too. Because at the end of the day, maybe I'm not going to hang out with them after work or anything like that. But like, I want to enjoy myself at the office being around this person. It's why my number one thing when people ask me about hiring is like the coffee test. If you can go to coffee with somebody and not want to gouge your eyes out, hire the person. Figure it out later.
Well, a lot of that other stuff you can teach. Like there's stuff that you can teach along the way, but there are certain things you can't teach. And I think if someone's willing to take down their walls and kind of show you who they are, they're like leaps and bounds ahead of most other people.
I also feel like we need to absolutely set the record straight. That doesn't mean to like write with grammatical errors or misspell things or anything like that. That's not genuine. That's just stupid. So don't do that, because I would judge you a lot if I received a CV about that. But yeah, just being you being you, but also knowing where to put commas. Dude, who was it? I think it was Derek, Tom's dad. He received a job application, and you know how when you're writing Google ads, every single word has to have the capitalized first letter.
Yeah,
the entire cover letter was like that. It was the funniest thing. He showed it to me. I was so young at the time, so it's like I'm only remembering it now at how funny it is. We're talking about it, but it was the funniest.
Just showing that he's qualified right out of the gate. Everything I do.
Yes, but he's like, why is he doing that? But you're right. He was applying for like an online ad thing, so maybe it was on purpose. But anyway, it was really funny.
Yeah. Well, but that's the thing is to go back to what you were saying is, you're still professional. Like you're still you in this professional setting. You're just you in this professional setting.
Right.
So that's one of the things that I've always enjoyed in building out a voice for a business that I'm a part of is building out that voice, showing that it's going to be fun. And what's cool is you start to attract people who are more fun.
Yeah.
And if that's your thing, like obviously like you don't want to be like a what's it called, a defense lawyer, right? And somebody's going through like some pretty rough shit and you're like cracking jokes and they're like, can you take this seriously?
Yeah, exactly. Of course. Yeah. Everything needs to be, understanding context is very important.
Exactly.
Sure.
Exactly. Or like you're like a firefighter at like a accident and you're like, no, you don't want that.
Yeah.
But with that, it's like professional inside of it. And what we've been really lucky with is always, because we convey this young kind of fun energy, but hardworking and still professional.
That's always been one of the things that we've both kind of struggled with, is finding the balance of like attracting people that want to have fun, but also the same people that want to work their ass off.
Yeah.
That's tough, because it's like you come into the office here, we've got a dartboard and a Street Fighter arcade machine and a beer keg, for God's sake. I just realized we're supposed to have a permit for that. Don't say anything. We have of course we have a permit.
You mean
Alex, we got a permit, right?
We're going to print one. We're going to print one and put it up.
There you go.
That way no one asks questions.
It's empty. No. But anyway, like obviously all of those things would indicate that all we do here is hang out and have fun. But that's not who we're looking for. We're looking for people that can do that on a Friday after like 5 or after 4 or whatever, and have some Friday jams and the occasional midweek jam if need be. But after hundreds and hundreds of contacts, after hundreds and hundreds of hours of hard work, do you get to reap the benefits?
It's like Severo and I were going out door knocking last night, and like sure we're in the car, we're having fun, like we're chatting away, but we're also doing what we're supposed to do, hitting our contacts, doing the numbers. So
Absolutely.
We're still putting the work in, but having fun while we do it.
Right. I think a lot of realtors miss the mark when it comes to brand. I really do. I think a lot of realtors, insurance agents are the same way, mortgage brokers are the same way. Being unapproachable and being too serious, I think is going to ostracize you more than it's going to get you more clients. There's only so many pictures I can stand of seeing those guys in the suits with their arms crossed. First of all, the suit doesn't look good at all if your arms are crossed. I don't care who you are, your suit's going to look like crap. And then on top of that, it's like if you know anything about body language, you're literally screaming at the top of your lungs, "Don't call me.
Yeah,
don't call me. I don't have time for you." Which it's like, I guess I just don't believe that that's an actual branding decision. I just think they think it's cool.
Yeah, or like you're on your phone in the photo,
dude.
It's like, I was so busy I couldn't stop. I had to take the call.
Oh my God. And you know what? I've seen some people with the crossed arm photos or the cell phone photos, and they're good. They're good brokers. But I think for the most part, people do it because they think it makes them more serious and whatever. And I know that's not them. It's the same people that I know if I went out with them on a Friday night, it would be nothing like that. Because the guy who's in a suit with his arms crossed, if you go out with him on Friday night, he's not going to let loose. He should be, in theory, if you're going to create like a brand image for this guy. This is the guy that's going to go have 1 or 2 drinks, leave at 8, is in bed by 9:30, and is up at 5 a.m. to do his workout. Yeah. That's the guy in a suit with his arms crossed. Yep. But that's not who these people are. And that's that lack of continuity.
But I think that's the image that maybe they're trying to portray.
Why would you want to get clients like that? Because you attract what you put out, right? So why would you want to get, if that's a fact, which we know that, evidence would suggest that, why would they want to get clients like that? So insurance agents, mortgage brokers, real estate brokers, or any kind of branding where you are the center person.
I think it's because we're told to do that. And we're told by, social media, we're told by all of the stuff that's out there, like, don't be yourself, be this guy.
Yeah.
Because that's who people want to work with. And then everyone does it. And you're like, well, it's, by confirmation bias, everyone's doing it. Right. So I'm supposed to do it too. I can't be different.
Right.
It kind of reminds me of I studied theater for a long time, and I would get different headshots. And I would always, at that time, I would always think of like, okay, I just want to get a photo where I look good, which is great. Obviously you want to get a photo where you look good.
Well, that must have not been very hard for you.
But the thing that I didn't realize was the photo that you take is so important. If you're going to be going up for comedies, you want a photo where you're smiling, with bright colors. If you're going up for more serious roles, maybe you've got a more serious background and like your face is more
this is an actor who should be able to portray all of those roles.
Yeah, but like as an actor, you're choosing where you want to focus, right?
Right.
Or maybe you have multiple headshots, and depending on the role you're going for, you're going to send the casting agency that specific headshot.
Does that happen often?
Usually people have a couple. Now it's so much easier to get headshots, so I would imagine people would have multiple.
Wow, interesting.
But as realtors, we're doing the same thing, right? Who are you, and who are you targeting? Who's your target demographic? What should your headshot say? And I'm going to give a quick shout out actually to Naor
Toledano.
Toledano City Pixels. He is amazing at that.
Yeah.
His photos, I love talking to the guy because he's just so, he gets it. And he's like, what is your focus? And then he'll tell you how to, get your headshot right. And that's just one part of your voice, one part of your brand. But it's what are people saying about you is your brand? And they're going to see that from the photo and they're going to say, hey, that's that guy.
Yep.
Right. He's a happy guy, or, oh, that guy's serious. I need a serious broker because I'm going through serious stuff.
Right.
Right. So
it's interesting. I think a lot of people just think a brand is whatever your logo is.
Yeah.
And it definitely is part of it. Right. But
what's your name in a square? No,
it's your name written in cursive. Somehow, everybody's got the cursive logo. I think it's just, anyway, whatever. If everybody's the same, you're not different. How are you going to differentiate yourself? I don't think we need to go into that. I think that's pretty freaking self-explanatory. But I think a lot of people think that their logo is what their brand is. But their logo is, the brand of what they're doing is the continuity of every single person that interacts with their business and how they feel about that interaction. So are you a serious, like, don't talk to me about anything personally? I'm not going to tell you about anything in my personal life. You're not going to tell me about anything in your personal life. We're going to sign these contracts. I'm going to do my job and then I'm going to leave. That's a brand decision, and that's going to appeal to some people, being the fun loving guy that makes funny ass videos with aliens and shit. That's going to appeal to some people.
Yep.
Everybody's going to have different things that they like or dislike about that whole thing. But I think a lot of business owners, whether they're in real estate, whether they're in insurance sales or being in mortgage or running any kind of business, hasn't made the decision of what their target demographic is and how to actually target them in a way that's genuine for them. And I think it's an interesting thing. And I want to know from your perspective how you made that decision to start doing that. I know we're not supposed to be doing like interview style questions. But guess what? I'm interviewing now.
Psych, it's an interview.
Psych, I'm interviewing you. Because you did that during the pandemic. You started getting really into these types of videos that were very
Well,
I've never seen any realtor do what it is that you've done.
No, and there's realtors out there who do like really fun stuff, like the broke agent and stuff like that. They do like super fun things. But I wanted to try to do something that was very different, that was more me.
Yep.
And the thing that gave me license to do it, because I was always very scared of doing it, or at least really putting time into it, was COVID gave us all a little bit more time to try to experiment doing different things.
Yeah.
And we couldn't do the things that we were used to doing.
Yep.
So I was like, well, I got to find something new. Let me try this. But then the other side of it was when I put that target on my back and I had like hate groups and I had people who really didn't like me.
Yeah, that's awesome.
They didn't know me, but they really didn't like me. And for that, I was like, now I've got a group of haters, and it hurts at first. And it's normal for anybody who has haters. And like, if there are younger people who are listening to this and they get bullied, like it sucks to get bullied, but there's the other side of it too, where like someone hates you enough to remember you and think about you a lot. So it's like, well, I love that. I'm happy that somebody cares that much about me, because they do. They care enough to hate you.
Yep.
So they still care a lot about you.
Hate and love fire in the same places in your brain.
Right?
Yep.
I didn't know that.
Yep.
That's your science to me.
Yep.
Thank you.
Science, bro.
But yeah, so after that, I was like, well, okay, so these people hate me. There's nothing I can do for them not to hate me.
Yep.
And the other people that do love me are just going to hate me if I try to pander to the people who hate me. So forget it. These people hate me. Hate me more.
If the audience missed any of the previous episodes where we talked about it, John got half naked on a billboard, and it was the greatest moment of real estate history in Quebec. And it was, if anybody's seen the movie,
in Quebec, dude.
Maybe even in Canada or North America, I don't know, but it was pretty awesome. So if anybody's seen the movie I Love You, Man, at the end, the plot twist is where Jason Segel spends the money that he borrowed from Paul Rudd. I don't remember the character's name, so apologies. But he spends the money that he had lent him on billboards, and one of them was half naked Paul Rudd in the bed saying, "I can sell your house in my sleep."
Yeah.
And John did exactly that billboard on Highway 20?
20.
Yeah, Highway 20.
Yeah.
Which is a major highway here in Quebec, and it got a lot of hate, and it was the greatest thing ever. It was so freaking good.
I've never seen the OACIQ act quicker too.
Yeah.
They like reached out right away. They were like, whoa, what are you doing? And then I was like, I looked at the rules. I don't see anything wrong here. No. And they were like, well.
Oh, okay. So you keep going.
Oh, okay. They were like, I was like, I don't see what's wrong here. And then they were like, it's false advertising. You can't say that you can sell homes in your sleep. And I was like, oh, okay, I guess you're right there. It technically is false advertising, even though I technically could. But
that's hilarious, because you absolutely could sell a house in your sleep.
Yeah, no.
Right? Because you could go to bed at 9 and have sent out the signatures for acceptance at 9, go to bed, wake up in the morning, and the house is sold.
Yep.
And it could be an all cash, no inspection deal, which means all the conditions are fulfilled immediately.
I guess they're saying like, well, you had to be awake to write the documents or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I'm also like, with a team though,
bro,
I could have.
They straight up just wanted to find something wrong.
Mm-hmm.
At any rate, I think that's, anyway, it's one of my, I hope we say this like every 3 episodes we talk about it, because it's so awesome. But yeah, I just think I remember actually being at our old office right before you pulled the trigger on this.
Oh yeah.
And you were hesitant about it, because you were like, man, this is like a lot.
Yeah.
Because that was like the first thing that you had done to kind of create this brand that is Jonathan Ehrlich now, which is, this fun loving guy that is obviously going to do a great job selling your home, but you're also going to love watching his hilarious videos. You're going to enjoy the interactions with him, et cetera, et cetera.
Yep.
All those things that describe people working with you. But this was really the first thing that happened. And I remember you're like, oh shit, like, I don't know, should I do it? I remember that. It was funny. We were standing there right with Severo. It was me, you, Severo, and
I think Marty was there too.
I think Marty was there too. And it was.
That was a heavy. I really consider. I had 2 billboards, just like the 2 emails.
Yep.
I had 2 billboards. I remember I had the other billboard. I was like, "This is the safe one. Should I do it?" And then you're like, "Don't. Just do it. Don't think it. Don't overthink it. Just do it."
Yes.
And then I did it, and then like that billboard way more than paid for itself.
Oh
like,
yeah.
I was on TV. I was getting calls from people in Florida who were like, "I saw your billboard."
That's so cool. I love that. Dude.
I still get people actually who are like, "How did things go with the billboard?" So
it's really cool, man. It's just awesome to see somebody putting themselves out there and having it pay off in such a real way. And I think if anybody's listening right now, it would be take that step. It's going to be scary as all hell, but it's going to pay dividends. And in a worst case scenario, even if you received no direct income from it, which you obviously did, but even if you hadn't, that was the catalyst to start this whole brand development thing that you did.
Yeah.
And just that is enough.
So like the other side to that too, though, was as much as that was genuinely me putting myself out there, it is important to note that I worked with a design company.
Oh yeah.
I worked with professionals. Like this was not like I slapped this together in paint and threw it out there. Like this was thought out. Same thing with the videos. Like the hours and hours that go into like the editing and like all of the extra stuff to make it okay to do that. You know what I mean? Like that. So it's not just like be a goof and goof out without it being a real thing. Be serious.
Exactly what we were talking about before with like you can be goofy with proper grammar.
Yeah, you can be fun with doing things correctly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I think that's, man, if I were to ever summarize if anybody asked me, hey, what's John's brand? I would say doing the absolute correct thing in the funnest way possible.
Yeah. That's like the nicest compliment. That's like
I probably don't say that enough. Well, there you go.
Said to me.
Aww.
Thank you.
And it's live and it's on podcast. You love to see it. But yeah, so I really think that being genuine like you are causes people to want to work with you, but also from a leadership standpoint, when you're building a business, again, whether it's you're starting a store, you're starting an online thing, or you got some kind of side hustle, whatever it is, you're going to need to be genuine in order to have people follow you. And you're not going to be able to build a business on your own. Nobody builds a business on their own. That's so difficult. Yeah. And it's like playing the game. If any Halo players out there, that's playing it on like Legendary Plus, if that ever was a thing. But it's just like a difficulty that's just unnecessary to hit.
Well, I mean, look at any org chart, right? Yeah. And then just count all the seats.
Yeah.
And then think about doing one job and then count how many seats there are. And you're like, okay, well, it takes all my time to do one job. How am I going to do 20?
Right. And it always starts with one person doing it all. Yeah. And that's okay. But then as you grow, you need to find those people, and those people need to be able to follow you. But if you are trying to be somebody that you're not going to be able to get those people to follow you.
Well, but also people aren't going to trust the things that you're saying. They're not going to believe you.
Right.
So in order for people to trust and believe what you're saying,
your entire brand messaging, from the way you write emails to the actual logo you use, to the colors that are in there, to the words you choose to use for your own external branding, and all of that stuff, all those things have to come together and represent a large part of your personality.
Yeah. Yeah. I think there's the easiest way to be able to find your brand and your voice is to look at yourself. Yes. And I mean, if you're a more shy person and you're more reserved, but you're good at something, well, what is that thing that sets you apart from everybody else, that makes you different and unique? Don't be afraid to use that.
So great episode today. Just to recap what we were talking about, I think it's so important that when you're building a business, or if you have a business right now that's looking for a voice, what that means is you have to establish what it is you want your clients to think about, what you want your business, or yourself, if you are the business, to look and feel like. If you do that and it comes from a genuine place, so the logo you use, the font you decide on, the colors you use, the way you respond to emails, the way you interact with clients, the way you interact with contractors or subcontractors, or anything that you do within the business has to all be under that same kind of brand umbrella. What's going to happen is you're going to be taken more seriously, because they know they're speaking to a real person and not a robot, or not some kind of like manufactured blob of human flesh. On top of that, people are going to want to work with you because of that. People are going to want to work with you. They're going to want to work for you. They're going to want to follow you from a leadership perspective. And really, really thankful for all the stories we got to talk about today. Thank you so much again for listening to Montreal's Elite Unleashed, the podcast for hustlers looking to level up their lives.
Level it up.